Hey everybody, this is Mr. Beckstrom. Today we're going to be taking a look at section 4-2. This is measures of central tendency. And specifically we're going to be looking at the mean, the median, the mode, and we're also going to be looking at some distribution tables after that. So let's go ahead and get started. What these are. So the mean, you probably heard that before. Another word for that is the average. And this is kind of one way that we can find a number in the middle of a group of data. So in order to find the mean, we take all of the values in the data, we add them together, and then we divide by the number of values. And that'll give us the average value or the mean value there. The median is another way that we can measure the middle of a data set, but we do it a different way. And the way that we do that is we set all or arrange all the data in order from smallest to largest, and we find the middle value. Now when we have an odd number of values, that's going to give us an exact middle value that we can use for our median. But when we have an even number of values, like let's say we have 8 values, that means there's no actual middle number because the 4th and the 5th number are going to be the middle numbers there. So in the case where we have an even number of data values, we take the 2 middle numbers and we find the average or the mean of those 2 middle numbers. So we add those 2 numbers up and divide by 2. And then finally for the mode is the value that occurs most often. And we will only have a mode when we have at least one data value occurring more than another data value. And we can have multiple modes as well. So if the number 3 and the number 5 shows up 4 times and nothing else shows up 4 or more times, then both 3 and 5 would be our mode for that set. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at an example here. And so I have this data set here, and I want to find the mean, the median, and the mode. So the first thing I would probably do is go ahead and arrange this, because I'm going to end up needing it arranged for both the median, and it helps with the mode as well. So let's take the smallest value starting off here. So that would be 7.9. Cross that out, and it looks like I have a 7.7 there, 7.7, so that goes before the 7.9. And then I have an 8, I have 3 8.1, so 8.1, 8.1, and 8.1. So this is looks like I have an 8.7, 8.7. Cross that out, and I have 2 9.5s, 9.5, and 9.5. Cross those two out, and then I finally end up with a 9.6. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the mode. So I'm going to take my calculator here, and I'm going to add up all these values. So just any calculator, so 7.7, 7.9, 8.1, plus 8.1, plus 8.1, 8.7, plus 9.5, plus 9.5, plus 9.6. So I get the total, and then I'm going to divide by the number of values. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 values. So divided by 9. And I get, I'm going to go ahead and round this to 1 decimal place. So I'm going to get 8.6. So the mean for this set, the mean is equal to 8.6. And notice the mean is right in the middle of these values here. The next thing I want to do is find the median. The median. And we already just showed that there's an odd number of values because there was 9 values. That means if you go from the outside in, the middle value is going to be the 81 because there are 4 values less than it and 4 values greater than it. So our median is 8.1. Now if if we had, like, let's say we had 10 numbers, then we would take these two numbers here and find the average of those two. So you would take the 8.1 and the 8.7, add them together and divide by 2. And you get like 8.45 maybe, or 8.4. You get 8.4 there. All right. And then the mode, that's the value that occurs the most. Remember, we can have more than one mode. But here, 8.1 occurs 3 times, and nothing else occurs more than that or the same. So 8.1 is our only mode of this set. All right, so that is how you find the mean, median, and mode of a data set. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these distributions here. All right, so for this group of data now, what we want to do is we want to build it's called a grouped frequency distribution. And this means that we're going to organize all this data to kind of get a better picture of it to see how many times these values occur at what levels. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to decide on our class width. And here it gives it for us. That's a class width of 50. And they're saying here, go ahead and start with the first class being to 100 to 149. So let me show you how we're going to set this up here. So we're going to kind of do this, we're going to call this first column here class. And we're going to go down. And so the first one starts at 100. And it goes to 149. That's what they went ahead and said to use. Now, since the class width is 50, the difference between each of the lower limits has to be 50. So going from 100, right below it, you have to add 50 to that, to 150, and then 200. And then remember, we have to encapsulate all of this data here. And it doesn't look like looks like 498 may be our highest number. So we're going to stop when we get from 450 to 499. So 250, 300, 350, 400, and 450. And then you're just going to be adding 50 to all of the upper class limits as well in order to build our classes here. So this is going to be 199, 249, 299. Remember, I'm just adding 50 to the number above it. So 349, 399, 449, and 499. So our classes all have to be the same width. So in this case, they all have a width of 50. And we have to have at least one value in the first class and at least one value in the last class, which we do. 112 definitely goes in the first class. 498 goes in the last class. We can have more than that if we want. But we can't have any values that don't go in these. So if we have something like 512, we'd have to add another class. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to tally these up. So 245 goes here, 106 goes in this class, 112, 321, 235, 209, 263, 215, 168, 350, 340, 401, 179. Then we have 433, we have 286, 141, 358, 468, 166, 498, 341, 171, 119, 362, where's 362, 264 here, 325 here, 225, got a 5, 391, 133, and 127. All right, so this is what it looks like right here. So we have like 6, 4, 5, 3, 4, 4, 2, and 2. And the last thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and find the mean of the grouped data. The mean of the grouped data. And I'm going to do it using this. Now, if I had these values up here, I could just go ahead and add all those up and divide by the total number of values there and get the mean of the data. But if I only had this table here, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the midpoint of all of these classes. So that's the mean of the class. So for example, if you take a look at the first one here, that is 100 plus 149 plus 149. Enter, divided by 2, and it's 124.5. So the midpoint of this class here, and I'm going to write midpoint, is 124.5. This is going to be 174.5. This is going to be 224.5, 274.5, 324.5, 374.5, 424.5, and 474.5. So these are all the midpoints of these classes. For example, if you did the 400, so if you did 400 plus 499, which is going to be 449, and then you divide it by 2, you get that 424.5. So if we were just using the frequency table in order to calculate the mean of this data, notice that the frequency table doesn't give us the exact values. It only tells us that there's 6 values between 100 and 149. So we're just going to use the average of those values. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take a look at the frequency times our midpoint, right? Because this is going to, if I'd say each value in here is an average of 124.5 and I have 6 of them, I just multiply them together to get the total. So you're going to do all of that. I'm going to do the first couple for you. So for the first one, we're going to take 124.5 times 6. 124.5 times 6. And I get 747. So this is going to be 747. And then you're going to do the same thing to all of these. The frequency times the midpoint. I'm not going to finish this. I want you to do this as an exercise. Make sure you kind of get the right answer. So you're going to go through and do that with all of these. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add them all up. So you're going to find the sum. So add up all of these values from this column here. And then finally, you're going to divide by the sum of all of the frequencies. I'll go ahead and calculate that. 6 plus 4 is 10, 15, 18, plus 8, 26, 30. So it looks like we have 30 total values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 26. Yep, that's 30. So you're going to take this entire column and divide by 30. And that should give you a mean that's pretty close to as if you had just added up all 30 of these values and divided by 30. All right, everybody. That's all I have for you today. Let's make sure that you go through the homework, and if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks.